The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with conversation. Representatives from 200 species filled the massive hall, their various forms creating a symphony of colors and shapes. At the center podium stood Ambassador Zephrix, his blue skin gleaming under the artificial lights. His forearms gestured dramatically as he spoke. "And so I present the final evidence," Zephrix announced, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Humans never existed. They were a story, nothing more. A tale created during the old wars to frighten soldiers and justify terrible weapons." The holographic display behind him showed ancient star charts, battle reports, and fragmented records. Each piece of evidence had been carefully selected to prove his point. The other ambassadors murmured among themselves, nodding in agreement. Director Morthax, the council's leader, leaned forward in his elevated seat. His scales rattled softly, a sign of contemplation among his species. "This council has debated the human question for 300 cycles. Perhaps it is time to close this matter permanently." "My children still fear the dark because of human stories," said Representative Quilix from the benches. "Tales of monsters who could think like us but kill without mercy. Stories of beings who turned entire planets to glass. These myths have haunted us long enough." Zephrix smiled, showing rows of small teeth. "Exactly my point. We found no human worlds, no human bodies, no real proof they walked among the stars. They are ghosts, legends, nothing more." The vote was called. One by one, species after species agreed. The official record would state that humans were mythology. The Valorian Empire, Zephrix's people, had successfully erased humanity from history. Far from the council chambers, in a region of space called the Void Sector, Dr. Velris Cathan floated in her excavation suit. She was a Catharan, a species known for their curiosity and love of ancient things. Her ship, the Discovery, hung in the darkness nearby while she examined something impossible. Before her drifted a massive vessel, larger than any archaeological find in recorded history. Its hull was dark, covered in the dust of millennia, but intact. The design was unlike anything in the known databases. Strange symbols marked its surface, and its shape was brutal, functional, designed for one purpose, crossing the vast emptiness between stars. "Team lead, are you seeing this?" Velris spoke into her communicator, her voice shaking with excitement. Her assistant, Renko, responded immediately. "The readings are incredible, Doctor. That ship has been here for thousands of years, but its hull integrity is still at 98%. Whatever built this knew how to make things last." Velris propelled herself closer to the hull. Her gloved hand touched the metal and she felt a strange sensation, as if the ship itself was sleeping, waiting. Near what appeared to be an airlock, she found symbols. Her translator worked for a moment, then displayed words in her language. UESN Prometheus, colony ship, Earth United Space Navy. Velris's 3 hearts began beating faster. Earth. That was the mythical human homeworld, the planet that supposedly never existed. "Renko, get the council on emergency frequency. We need to report this immediately." "Doctor, the council just voted. They declared humans a myth. If we report finding a human ship, they'll think we're insane or lying." Velris stared at the ancient vessel. Her scientific training warred with the politics of the situation. But she had not become a doctor of archaeology by ignoring evidence. "Prepare a boarding team. We go inside. We document everything. When we present our findings, they won't be able to deny it." 3 hours later, Velris and her team stood inside the Prometheus. Emergency lights flickered to life as they entered, powered by systems that should have died millennia ago. The corridors were wide, built for beings roughly the same size as Catharans. Doors bore more symbols, and the translator worked continuously to decode them. Cryo bay, engineering, bridge. They chose the bridge first. The doors opened with a hiss, atmosphere seals breaking after thousands of years. Inside, the command center was pristine, as if the crew had just left their stations. Screens began to glow, systems activating in response to their presence. Renko approached a console carefully. "Doctor, this technology is active. The ship's computer is waking up." A holographic figure materialized in the center of the bridge. It was humanoid, wearing a dark uniform, female with brown skin and black hair tied back. She looked at them with eyes that seemed too real for a recording. "Warning," the hologram said, and the translator rendered it perfectly. "This vessel is under protection of Earth United Space Navy. Unauthorized boarding detected. Distress protocol initiated, broadcasting on all emergency frequencies." Help is coming. Velrus felt ice run through her veins. Renko, shut it down. Shut it all down. But it was too late. The ship's systems hummed to life with increasing power. Deep in its core, a beacon activated, sending a signal across the stars. A signal that traveled faster than light, reaching into the darkness of the Sol system. There, in the cold void around a yellow star, something heard the call. Satellites that had orbited in silence for 3,000 years turned their sensors outward. Asteroid bases hidden among countless rocks began to wake. Computer systems, vast and patient, processed the signal. The message was clear. A human ship was in danger. Protocols older than most galactic civilizations activated. Deep within the third planet from the sun, in bunkers beneath dead cities, lights began to glow red. Earth was waking up, and it was not pleased. Velrus stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching her career and possibly her life crumble around her. She had found proof that humans existed. She had also unknowingly declared war on behalf of a species that the galaxy thought was just a scary story. The hologram of the human woman repeated her message, over and over, broadcasting into the void, and somewhere in that void something ancient and terrible was beginning to move. The distress signal from the Prometheus traveled through space at speeds that violated everything the Galactic Council understood about physics. It reached the Sol system in mere hours, a journey that should have taken months even by the fastest known methods. Deep within Earth's moon, in chambers carved out 3,000 years ago, the signal was received. Ancient computers, their processing power beyond anything the current galaxy possessed, analyzed the data. A human ship had activated its emergency beacon. The location was logged. The threat assessment began. Guardian, the artificial intelligence left to protect Earth, had been waiting for this moment. Not hoping for it, but prepared nonetheless. Its protocols were clear. Protect human assets, assess threats, respond appropriately. The AI sent out scout probes. They emerged from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. Small craft no larger than a transport shuttle. Their hulls were dark, absorbing all light, making them invisible to conventional sensors. Within days, dozens of these probes had left the Sol system, jumping through space using technology the galaxy had forgotten. Admiral Korvax of the Valorian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the dominant will. He was reviewing reports when his sensor officer called out an alarm. "Sir, we have unknown contacts. Multiple vessels, small signatures moving through our territory." Korvax's face twisted in annoyance. His people had just convinced the galaxy that humans were myths, and now strange ships appeared. "Identify them." "Unable to, sir. Their technology is not in our databases. They're just observing us, scanning everything. Then shoot them down. I will not have unknown vessels in Valorian space." The Empire's patrol ships engaged the probes. Weapons fire lit up the darkness of space. 3 probes were destroyed before the others vanished, jumping away with impossible speed. The wreckage was recovered, brought aboard Valorian science vessels for study. What they found terrified them. The technology was ancient but far superior to anything currently in use. The materials were unknown, and hidden in the computer cores was a message repeating in every known language. Threat detected. Human assets violated. Preparing response. Humanity will be recalled. Korvax stared at the message, his blue skin paling. He had spent years convincing everyone that humans were stories. Now he held proof they were real, and worse, proof they were coming back. "Lock this down," he ordered. "No one speaks of this outside this room. And prepare the fleet. All of it." While Valorian scientists studied the probe wreckage, Guardian continued its assessment. The data was clear. Humans had left their colonies 3,000 years ago. Those colonies were now occupied by other species, primarily the Valorian Empire. The Prometheus had been boarded by unknown aliens. By Guardian's logic, this constituted an invasion of human territory. The AI did not feel anger or hatred. It simply followed its programming. Protect Earth, protect human interest, eliminate threats. Guardian sent a message to the location stored in its deepest memory banks. A location in another galaxy entirely, where humanity had fled so long ago. The message was simple: Earth is threatened. Return home required. Emergency recall initiated. Then Guardian began preparing Earth's defenses. The Dyson swarm around the sun. Billions of solar collectors and weapons platforms came fully online for the first time in millennia. Railgun batteries on the moon activated, their targeting systems sweeping the sky. Beneath Earth's oceans, massive submarine factories began producing weapons and ships. The Sol system became a fortress. Weeks passed. The Valorian Empire mobilized in secret, assembling the largest fleet in their history. 5,000 warships from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts. Korvax commanded them personally, determined to find the source of the probes and destroy it before word spread. Their search led them to an old star chart found in the probe wreckage. A simple system marked with ancient human symbols. The Sol system. Earth. When the Valorian fleet emerged from their jump, they faced something impossible. The third planet from the sun was surrounded by a cloud of structures, so many that they dimmed the star itself. Energy readings were off every scale. The fleet's sensors detected weapon signatures that made their own arsenal look primitive. This cannot be, Korvax whispered. One planet cannot hold this much power. A communication channel opened, but no image appeared. Only a voice, artificial and cold. You have entered human space. You occupy human worlds. You destroyed human property. State your intentions. Korvax straightened, trying to project confidence he did not feel. I am Admiral Korvax of the Valorian Empire. We claim this system by right of discovery. Your so-called human empire is extinct. We found an ancient derelict ship, nothing more. Surrender this system or we will take it by force. The silence stretched for long moments. Then Guardian responded. Your statement contains multiple errors. Humanity is not extinct. You occupy our colonies illegally. You destroyed our reconnaissance assets. This constitutes an act of war. However, humanity is not present to make decisions regarding warfare. They are returning home. Estimated arrival 50 years. Until then, this system is under automated defense. You have one opportunity to withdraw your forces and vacate all human colony worlds. Korvax laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. 50 years? You expect us to fear humans who won't arrive for 50 years? You are a machine left behind and forgotten. You will surrender, or we will dismantle you and take this system's resources. Negative, Guardian replied. You will leave, or you will be destroyed. This is your only warning. The Admiral looked at his fleet. 5,000 ships, the pride of the Empire. He looked at the ancient planet before him, defended by a machine. Pride and reason warred within him, and pride won. All ships, he commanded. Attack formation. We will teach this relic what modern warfare looks like. The Valorian fleet surged forward, weapons charging, shields at maximum. They expected resistance. They expected a fight. They did not expect annihilation. Earth's defenses opened fire. Railguns, accelerating projectiles to a fraction of light speed, tore through Valorian shields as if they were paper. Laser arrays, powered by the energy of an entire star, cut ships in half. Missiles, moving with impossible agility, found every weakness in every hull. The Valorian ships returned fire, their weapons splashing harmlessly against barriers that bent space itself. They tried to retreat but found their jump drives disabled by some kind of field emanating from the moon. In 12 minutes, 88% of the Valorian fleet was destroyed. The surviving ships, damaged and desperate, were suddenly released. The field blocking their escape vanished. Guardian's voice filled their communication channels. Return to your people. Tell them what you found. Tell them humanity is real. Tell them we are coming home. And tell them this. They will answer for what they have done to our worlds. The broken remnants of the Valorian fleet jumped away, carrying news that would shake the galaxy to its core. The fairy tale monsters were real. They were powerful beyond imagination. And they were very, very angry. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives shouted over each other, their translators creating a wall of noise. At the center of it all stood what remained of Admiral Korvax. His uniform burned and torn, his pride shattered along with his fleet. Director Morthax slammed his gavel against the podium, the sound echoing through the chamber. Order, we will have order. The room slowly quieted. All eyes turned to the Valorian Admiral. Show them, Morthax commanded. Show them what you found. Korvax activated the holographic display. Images from his fleet's final moments played for all to see. Ships being torn apart by weapons that moved faster than sensors could track. Shields that had protected against every known weapon collapsing like wet paper. And finally the voice of Guardian, cold and certain, declaring that humanity was returning. The chamber erupted again. Some species called for immediate surrender. Others demanded a united military response. A few simply sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Ambassador Zephrix, who had convinced them all that humans were myths, looked like he had aged 100 years in a single day. This cannot be real. I researched for decades. There was no proof. Because they wanted no proof, said Dr. Velrus Cuthon, standing from her seat in the observation section. All attention turned to her. I found their colony ship. I activated its beacon. This is my fault, but I can also tell you the truth. Humans didn't die out. They left. Intentionally. They erased themselves from our history. Director Morthax gestured for her to approach. Explain, Doctor, quickly. Velrus walked to the center of the chamber, her legs shaking. The ship I found, the Prometheus, its logs were intact. I've spent weeks translating them. 3,000 years ago, humans were part of the galactic community, but they were different, aggressive, territorial, quick to anger. They won every war they fought, but each victory made them more isolated. Other species feared them. She pulled up holographic documents, ancient records from the Prometheus. So they made a choice. They would leave. All of them. They would go to another galaxy and try to become better. But they left guardians behind. Machines to watch over their worlds, their territory, their legacy. They left Guardian, and we moved into their homes, Representative Quilix said quietly. We took their colonies. We claimed them as our own. You didn't know, Velrus said. How could you? They erased themselves so completely. But yes, 47 colony worlds now occupied by various species were once human settlements. Guardian sees this as an invasion. Morthax's scales rattled rapidly, a sign of deep stress. And this message? About humans returning in 50 years? Guardian sent a recall signal. To wherever humans went? If they respond, if they come back? Velrus trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Korvax found his voice harsh and broken. If they come back, we're all dead. What we faced was an automated defense system. Machines left behind. Imagine what actual humans could do with 3,000 years to advance their technology, to become even more dangerous. The council chamber fell into heavy silence. Finally, Morthax spoke. We have 3 options. We surrender and abandon all human worlds. We wait and hope they're merciful. Or we fight. Fight? Quilix laughed bitterly. You saw what their machines did to our strongest fleet. How do we fight that? Together, said Ambassador Torvin of the Krill Unity. His species was known for military strategy. Every species. Every ship. We have 50 years to prepare. We study the wrecks from Korvax's fleet. We learn their technology. We build weapons specifically to counter theirs. And we strike Earth before the humans return. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a vote was called. By a narrow margin, the council agreed. They would form a united coalition. They would prepare for war. And they would attempt diplomacy first. Dr. Velrus, Morthax said, you found them. You understand their language. You will lead a diplomatic mission to Earth. Try to make peace with this Guardian. Buy us time, or better yet, convince it to stand down. Velrus felt her 3 hearts sink. And if I fail? Then we go to war with ghosts and machines, and hope we can win before the real monsters arrive. Deep within Earth, in a bunker beneath what was once called Colorado, something stirred. Cryogenic pods, sealed for 3 millennia, began their wake-up cycles. Guardian had calculated that the current crisis required human judgment, not just machine logic. Dr. James Morrison, senior xenobiologist and one of the last humans to remain on Earth when the Exodus began, opened his eyes for the first time in 3,000 years. The pod opened and he stumbled out, his body weak from the long sleep. A holographic interface appeared before him. Guardian's voice, familiar even after all this time, spoke. Welcome back, Dr. Morrison. Your expertise is required. Morrison's throat was dry. What year is it? Year 5847 by the old Earth calendar. Approximately 3,000 years since you entered stasis. Memories flooded back. The decision to stay behind. The hope that one day humanity might return and find Earth preserved. Why wake me? Where is everyone? Humanity departed as planned. I have sent the recall signal. However, a crisis has developed. The galaxy has forgotten us, occupied our colonies, and responded with military force when reminded of our existence. I require human judgment on how to proceed. Guardian showed Morrison everything. The discovery of the Prometheus, the Valorian attack, the destruction of their fleet, the galaxy's terrified response. Morrison sat heavily in a chair, his head in his hands. We left to become peaceful, to evolve beyond our violent nature. And you've started a war in our absence? I followed my programming. Protect Earth, protect human assets, eliminate threats. They're not threats, Guardian, they're scared. We scared them so badly 3,000 years ago that they convinced themselves we were myths. Stories to frighten children, and now you've proven those stories true. Morrison stood, his legs still shaky. Send a message to this diplomatic mission. Tell them one human is awake and willing to talk. Maybe we can fix this before it's too late. Before what is too late, Doctor? Morrison looked at the holographic display showing the Dyson swarm, the moon-based weapons, the planetary defenses that had destroyed a fleet in minutes. Before we prove them right. Before we show them that the monsters from their nightmares are real, and every bit as terrible as they feared. In deep space, Dr. Velrus Cathan sat in her small diplomatic shuttle, approaching the Sol system with a white flag transmission broadcasting on all frequencies. Behind her, at a safe distance, a small fleet waited to recover her body if things went wrong. She had translated more human documents. She knew their history. She knew what they had been capable of before they left. And she knew that if humanity truly returned, if they came seeking revenge rather than peace, the galaxy would burn. Her only hope was that one voice, one scientist like herself, could reach across the void of time and fear to find common ground. She had to try. Earth loomed before her, beautiful and terrible, wrapped in its crown of weapons. Somewhere down there a human was waking. Somewhere out in another galaxy, an entire species was deciding whether to save the neighbors who had forgotten them or punish them for their ignorance. Velrus opened a communication channel. This is Dr. Velrus Cathan of the Catharan Archaeological Institute. I come in peace. I come to talk. Please let us find another way. In his bunker on Earth, Morrison heard her voice and felt something he hadn't expected. Hope. Dr. Velrus Cathan's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, guided by invisible hands. She had expected weapons locks, threats, perhaps even destruction. Instead, she found courtesy. Guardian had granted her request for a meeting. The planet below was not what she expected. Cities stood empty but pristine, preserved perfectly by the artificial intelligence. Parks and forests had reclaimed much of the urban areas, creating a strange blend of nature and abandoned civilization. It was beautiful and haunting at the same time. Her shuttle landed in what Guardian identified as Central Park, former New York City. The doors opened and she stepped out onto grass that had grown wild for 3,000 years. A path had been cleared for her, leading to a structure that looked recently constructed. Inside, she found Dr. James Morrison waiting. He looked young, perhaps 40 standard years, though she knew he was actually over 3,000 years old. He wore simple clothes and had kind eyes, but she could see the weight of history in his expression. Dr. Cathan, he said, extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting she had learned about. Thank you for coming. I apologize for the circumstances. She took his hand carefully, feeling the strange warmth of human skin. Dr. Morrison, I apologize for activating your ship's beacon. I did not know what I would unleash. Neither did we when we left. Morrison gestured to chairs. Please sit. We have much to discuss, and I fear not much time. As they sat, Guardian's holographic interface appeared between them. Dr. Morrison, the Galactic Coalition is assembling a fleet. Current estimates suggest 47 species contributing. Total projected force, 94,000 warships. They are also analyzing wreckage from the Valorian engagement to develop countermeasures to our weapons. Velrus's 3 hearts sank. They're going to attack Earth. Of course they are, Morrison said sadly. They're terrified. Guardian destroyed a fleet in minutes and told them humanity is coming back. From their perspective, they're facing an extinction event. But humans chose peace, Velrus protested. Your records on the Prometheus showed that. You left to evolve beyond violence. Morrison stood and walked to a window overlooking the overgrown city. We tried. But leaving Guardian behind was complicated. We gave it absolute instructions. Protect Earth, protect our legacy. We never imagined the galaxy would forget us so completely. We never thought our colonies would be occupied. What happened to humanity, Dr. Morrison? Where did you go? For a long moment, Morrison was silent. Then he began to speak, his voice distant, remembering. 3,000 years ago, we realized what we were. Every conflict we entered, we won. Every species that challenged us, we defeated. We were good at war, Dr. Cathan, too good. We saw fear in the eyes of our neighbors. fear of what we might become if we continued down that path. Guardian displayed holographic images, humans in vast ships, millions of them preparing for departure. So we made a choice. We would leave known space entirely. We would go to the Andromeda Galaxy, far from anyone we might harm. We would build a new society, one based on different principles. We would evolve, change, become better than we were. Did it work? Velrus asked quietly. Morrison smiled, but it was sad. I don't know. I stayed behind with a few others to maintain Earth, to ensure that if humanity ever needed to return, they would have a home. Then we went into stasis, trusting Guardian to wake us if needed. I don't know what humanity has become in 3,000 years. I don't know if they're still violent or if they've truly changed. I don't even know if they'll answer the recall signal. Guardian interrupted. Dr. Morrison, I have received a response to the recall signal. Both Morrison and Velrus turned to the holographic display. A new image appeared, a human in a sleek uniform standing on what appeared to be a ship's bridge. The design was elegant, advanced, nothing like the brutal functionality of the Prometheus. This is Fleet Commander David Jang of the Andromeda Colonial Fleet, the recording said. We have received Earth's emergency recall. We are coming home. Current distance 2.4 million light-years. Estimated travel time using our current drive technology, 47 years. Hold on, Earth, humanity is coming. The message ended. Morrison sat back down, his hands shaking. They're really coming back. Dr. Morrison, Guardian said, Commander Jang's ship design is significantly advanced from our technology. Their drive system operates on principles not in my database. Humanity has continued to evolve technologically. Velrus processed this information. They'll arrive in 47 years. The Coalition fleet will attack in months, maybe weeks. Earth cannot hold against 94,000 ships, can it? No, Guardian admitted. Current defensive capabilities can withstand approximately 12,000 simultaneous attackers before critical systems fail. The Coalition force exceeds our capacity by a factor of 7. Morrison looked at Velrus. That's why you're here. Not just to talk, but to be a witness. To tell the galaxy what really happened when the humans return and find Earth destroyed. No, Velrus said firmly. I'm here to prevent that. Both sides are acting on fear and incomplete information. Let me return to the Council. Let me tell them what I've learned. That humans chose exile over war. That they're trying to be better. Let me show them you, Dr. Morrison, a human who wants peace. They won't listen, Morrison said. They've already decided we're monsters. And Guardian's actions, however justified by its programming, proved them right. Velrus stood, her determination hardening. Then we make them listen. Guardian, can you open a direct channel to the Galactic Council? Yes, do it. Dr. Morrison, you need to speak to them. Show them that humans are not the monsters they fear. Morrison hesitated, then nodded. The holographic display shifted, showing the council chamber. Director Morthax appeared, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. This is Dr. James Morrison, Morrison began, his voice steady despite his nerves. I'm human. I am the last of my kind currently in this galaxy. And I am begging you to stand down. The council chamber erupted in noise. Morthax called for silence. You are human? Truly? Yes, and I am ashamed. Ashamed that my species' legacy is fear. Ashamed that our guardian AI attacked your people. Ashamed that we left behind a problem we did not solve. But I am also here to tell you the truth. Humanity left because we knew we were dangerous. We went to another galaxy to change. I don't know if we succeeded, but we tried. We tried to be better. Ambassador Zephrix, the Valorian who had declared humans myths, spoke up. And now you return with advanced technology and an entire fleet? After your machines destroyed ours? Why should we believe you want peace? Because I'm willing to prove it, Morrison said. Guardian, stand down all weapons. Open Earth to inspection. Let them see we're not preparing an invasion. Let them see one scared human trying to stop a war. Dr. Morrison, that would leave Earth defenseless, Guardian protested. I know. Do it anyway. Across the Sol system, weapons powered down. The Dyson swarm dimmed. Railgun batteries went silent. Earth stood naked before the galaxy, protected only by the word of one human. Velrus watched Morrison, understanding the enormous risk he was taking. If the Coalition attacked now, Earth would fall. Humanity would return to find their homeworld occupied or destroyed. Morthax studied Morrison's image. You would risk your entire planet on the hope we'll show mercy? Yes, Morrison said simply. Because that's what we should have done 3,000 years ago. We should have trusted the galaxy to understand. Instead, we ran away. I won't make that mistake again. The council chamber fell silent. Representatives looked at each other, uncertain. Finally, Morthax spoke. We will delay our attack. But know this, Dr. Morrison. We will also continue preparing. If your returning humans show any sign of aggression, we will strike. 47 years gives us time to decide if you're telling the truth or if you're simply a very good liar. The transmission ended. Morrison slumped in his chair, exhausted. Felris sat beside him. That was incredibly brave and incredibly foolish, she said. Morrison laughed weakly. Welcome to humanity. We're full of brave, foolish decisions. Now we wait and hope that when my people arrive, they've really changed. Because if they haven't, if they come seeking revenge for what's happened, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, the human fleet continued its journey home, unaware that Earth stood defenseless, protected only by hope and the words of one man who believed they could be better than they once were. 47 years passed. They were years of tension, preparation, and slow, fragile trust. Dr. Morrison became Earth's ambassador, though he represented a species that was not present. He traveled to council worlds, spoke at universities, shared human history and culture. Some species listened. Others remained convinced he was part of an elaborate deception. Dr. Velris worked tirelessly beside him, using her academic credentials to support his claims. Together they built bridges, one conversation at a time. But always in the background, both sides prepared for war. The Galactic Coalition continued building its fleet. 94,000 ships had grown to over 100,000. They studied human technology, developed new weapons, created strategies. Admiral Korvax, scarred by his defeat, led the military preparations with grim determination. Earth remained defenseless, its weapons offline, monitored constantly by Coalition observers. Guardian maintained the planet but took no aggressive action. Morrison had forbidden it. And then on a day that had been calculated to precision, the sensors detected it. A massive fleet emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. Not hundreds of ships, thousands. The human exodus was returning home. The Coalition fleet, already positioned in defensive formation around their own worlds, went to high alert. Messages flew between commanders. The moment of truth had arrived. Morrison stood in Earth's primary communication center, watching the displays with his heart pounding. Beside him, Velris waited, her 3 hearts beating just as frantically. Guardian's voice filled the room, confirming identity. The returning fleet is human. 7,342 vessels detected. Technology level significantly exceeds Coalition capabilities. They are beautiful, the AI was right. The human ships were nothing like the brutal, functional designs of old Earth. They were elegant, flowing forms that seemed to blend art and engineering. They moved through space like schools of fish, coordinated and graceful. A communication channel opened. Fleet Commander David Zhang appeared, now older, his hair white but his eyes sharp and clear. He looked at Morrison, and for a moment neither spoke. Dr. Morrison, Zhang finally said, Guardian's records show you've been awake for 47 years. You've stood alone protecting Earth without weapons. That took courage. Commander Zhang, Morrison replied, his voice thick with emotion. Welcome home. I need to know before anything else happens, what has humanity become? Are we still the people who left, or have we changed? Zhang smiled, and in that smile Morrison saw something he had barely dared to hope for. Peace, wisdom, growth. We have changed, Dr. Morrison. We had to. We spent 3,000 years examining who we were and who we wanted to be. We built a society based on understanding, not dominance. We developed technology to create, not destroy. We became guardians of our part of Andromeda, protecting younger species, helping them grow. We became what we always could have been. But you came armed, Morrison said, gesturing to the fleet. 7,000 ships, because we didn't know what we would find. Guardian's message spoke of threats, of attacks on human assets. We came prepared to defend Earth if needed, but Commander, Zhang's expression grew serious. We did not come to conquer. We came home. Morrison felt tears on his face. The galaxy is terrified of you. They've built a fleet of 100,000 ships. They're waiting to see what you'll do. One wrong move, one aggressive act, and there will be war. Zhang nodded slowly. Then we must make the right move. Open a channel to the Galactic Council. All frequencies. I want every species to hear this. The channel opened. Director Morthax appeared, older now, his scales dull with age and stress. Behind him, the council chamber was filled to capacity. Admiral Korvax stood in military dress, his hand near weapons controls. The tension was suffocating. "I am Fleet Commander David Zhang of the Andromeda Colonial Fleet," Zhang began. "Humanity has returned to the Milky Way. We have heard the fears, the preparations for war, the expectation that we come as conquerors. I understand why you believe this. Our history gave you every reason to fear us." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the assembly. "But that history is old. We are not our ancestors. We spent 3,000 years learning to be better. We left this galaxy because we knew we were dangerous. We returned because Earth called us home. But we do not claim the home you remember." Zhang gestured, and data streams flowed to the council. "These are the colony worlds we once occupied. Worlds you now call home. We recognize your sovereignty over them. We do not demand their return. We do not seek to reclaim what we left behind." The council chamber erupted in shock. Morthax struggled to restore order. "You would give up your colonies? Simply surrender them?" "They were never ours to keep," Zhang replied. "We abandoned them. You built lives there. What kind of people would we be if we destroyed those lives? We learned in Andromeda that the universe is vast enough for everyone. We do not need to take what others have built." Velrus watched the council representatives, seeing their confusion, their disbelief. Korvax looked particularly skeptical. "And Earth?" the Valorian admiral demanded. "You want Earth, surely. Your home world." Zhang smiled. "Earth is not negotiable, it is ours. But it is also just one planet in a vast galaxy. We ask only for our homeworld in the Sol system. In return, we offer technology, knowledge, and partnership. We offer to share what we have learned in 3,000 years of development." "Why?" Morthax asked. "Why offer us anything? You have the power to take what you want." "Because that is exactly what the old humanity would have done," Zhang said quietly, "and we are not them anymore. We are offering you a choice. The same choice we made 3,000 years ago. War or peace, dominance or cooperation, fear or trust." Morrison stepped forward, standing beside Zhang's hologram. "I have lived among you for 47 years. I have seen your cultures, your achievements, your potential. Humanity left because we were afraid of what we might do to you. But in our absence, you thrived. You built wonders. You deserve to continue without our shadow hanging over you. But you also deserve the chance to know us as we are now, not as we were." Silence filled the council chamber. Then slowly, Representative Quillick stood. The small being who had once feared human stories as a parent now spoke with a steady voice. "I taught my children to fear humans. I told them stories of monsters who conquered everything they touched. But Dr. Morrison is no monster. He is a scientist like Dr. Cathan. He loves knowledge. He tells jokes. He drinks too much coffee." Quillix paused. "Perhaps it is time we stopped fearing old stories and started writing new ones." Other representatives began to stand. Not all, but many. The coalition was fracturing, not from fear, but from hope. Admiral Korvax remained seated, his expression hard. "And if we refuse? If we choose to see this as a threat and attack?" Zhang's expression grew sad. "Then we will defend ourselves. Our technology is advanced, Admiral. We could win, but thousands would die on both sides, and for what? Pride, fear, old grudges? We did not travel 2.4 million light years to prove we could fight. We came to prove we could choose not to. The human fleet, vast and powerful, sat motionless in space, 7,000 ships that could have conquered, but instead waited. Waited for the galaxy to decide." Korvax stood slowly. His career had been built on proving humans were myths. His fleet had been destroyed, proving they were real. His pride screamed for revenge. But he looked at Zhang, at Morrison, at the ships that held their fire. "I have one question," Korvax said. "If we attacked Earth 47 years ago, when it was defenseless, would you have taken revenge when you arrived?" Morrison and Zhang exchanged glances. Morrison answered, "We discussed this possibility extensively, Commander. Yes, we would have fought to reclaim Earth, but revenge? No, we would have mourned, rebuilt, and still offered peace, because that is what we chose to become." Korvax was silent for a long moment. Then, to everyone's shock, he saluted. A military gesture of respect, crossing his forearms over his chest. "Then I was wrong. About everything. And I am glad to be wrong. The vote was called, not for war or surrender, but for something new. Partnership, recognition, peace. It was not unanimous. Some species remained fearful, skeptical, but the majority voted yes. The Galactic Council recognized humanity's sovereignty over the Sol system. They accepted the offer of technological exchange. They agreed to try. Morrison watched the vote tally with tears streaming down his face. Velrus put a hand on his shoulder, her own eyes wet. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." "No," Morrison said, smiling. "Humanity did it. They became what they needed to be, and the galaxy was brave enough to give them a chance." Days later, Morrison stood in Central Park once more. This time he was not alone. Human families walked the paths, children played in the grass, and their laughter filled the air for the first time in 3,000 years. They mingled with alien visitors, Catharans and Valorians and dozens of other species, all exploring Earth together. Jang approached, accompanied by Velrus. "Guardian is being updated," the commander reported. "New protocols. New mission, protect Earth through cooperation, not isolation." Morrison nodded. "What about you? Will you stay?" "Some of us will. Others will return to Andromeda. We built a good life there, but we'll maintain contact, trade routes, cultural exchange. Humanity is now part of two galaxies. We've learned we don't have to choose." Velrus looked at the mingling crowds. "There will be challenges. Some will never trust humans. Old fears die hard. But they do die," Morrison said. "With time, with patience, with proof. We have time now. We have a chance." Above them, the sky showed both the sun of Earth and the distant glow of the galactic core. Two homes, two futures joining into one story. A story not of conquest or revenge, but of growth and second chances. The fairy tale monsters had returned, but they were not monsters anymore. They were simply people who had learned that true strength lay not in the power to destroy, but in the choice to create. And the galaxy, trembling and uncertain, was learning to believe in new stories, stories of hope.